I wanted Martin to share his journey, his company, Hager. As you'll go through, you'll realize a story where a company that has really very little digital to no digital presence, to transforming their business completely into a connected business that now is being transformed with Martin's team's help, was originally just a skunk project. It was started out as a kind of a very early, smaller but well-supported project from the CEO on what can we do to become more of a digital business. And as he goes through this, you'll realize that now he's kind of driving the overall strategy that's really reinventing Hager. And the use cases that he'll be covering are products such as connected security products like connected smoke alarms to protect the home, security cameras for the digital home. And he'll be going through that and kind of how he's leveraging digital identity to to enable a lot of the use cases that they have. They've got a very interesting roadmap of taking very traditional, basically unconnected products and transforming them into all service products that have a number of internet connected services. So with that, Martin.
So thanks, Jim, for the introduction about Hager Group that you probably don't know. So what I propose is I will talk about the digital transformation journey we have been taking for the past 2 years, and Janrain being part of this. I thank you again for inviting us here and sharing this. I will tell you a little bit about Hager Group, so you have an idea on who we are and what triggered this project, especially a project that is focusing on services, which is maybe quite original for a pure product manufacturer industrial group like Hager. The role that Janrain and CIIM played in this digital project and open exchange at any time, actually. Interrupt me whenever you want. So Hager Group at a glance. Jim already mentioned it. We are very active as a supplier for electrical solutions in the home, if it is residential, commercial, or industrial. Most of our customers are more on this left side here. We generate about 80% of our turnover, 1.6 billion euros in residential buildings, private homes, condominiums, individual homes, and about 300 to 400 million euros in commercial buildings, schools, retail, offices, etc. Our competitors, some of them are maybe known even in the United States. Legrand is a company that in France resembles a lot to Hager Group. Hager Group is more present in Germany and Northern Europe. We have 20% market share in France, so in France we are a little less known than Legrand. And Legrand also bought a subsidiary in the United States which generates 2 billion euros. So Schneider, ABB, those are also competitors in a certain sense, but they play in a different segment of the market. They play more in industrial buildings, much bigger systems. You might also know General Electric, of course. Those are people who play in the same market, but not the same market segments. Here you see a little profile map of Hager Group. We have almost 12,000 employees. These are numbers from the end of 2015, so by now we should be 12,000 employees. We should be very close to 2 billion euros of turnover. We are present and we distribute in almost 130 countries in the world, 28 industrial sites. And here on the upper right you see the focus of Hager Group, which is a French-German company, is of course still in those two countries. We have about 53% of our turnover in France and in Germany. But we are building momentum in Asia and Latin America. For now it's only 13%. Quite present in Italy, Spain and other southern European countries. And UK and Northern Europe is still another 13%. On the bottom you see the type of products that Hager Group is manufacturing. Again, we are born here on the bottom left in the basement of the home with a distribution board. That's where Hager started in 1955. We then moved up from the basement into the living room and acquired companies that build what we call wiring accessories, a light switch or a socket for an electrical component manufacturer. That's called a wiring accessory. It's really at the end of the cable. That's how we see it. For an end user, of course, it's much more important. I mean, we make jokes about this at Hager Group when we have discussions on light switches and sockets and we put them on the table. A guy from Hager will always look at it from the back. He doesn't care. It's true. I mean, it's so true. And why? Because we distribute today still 99.9% of our products through wholesalers and electricians. So we don't see the end user. We don't know what he thinks of our distribution board. I mean, I don't know how many times you look at your distribution board, but it's not really an equipment that is very consumer-like. However, we are moving and equipping more and more of your daily life with your intercom, with sensors, smoke detectors, air quality sensors, intrusion alarm systems. Electrical car owners ask us to have electrical charging stations, and those products are by nature more and more connected. So by that, we are having to deploy more and more technologies that are new connectivity protocols, that are indoor, outdoor. We have to develop technologies for autonomous sensors in terms of batteries and stuff. So we do this a lot by buying companies who are specialists in that area, but it becomes so more and more general. You will see some examples that IoT for us is becoming more and more of a necessity. These are big brands that you might not know. Very probably you don't know them because, again, they are distributed through electricians or specialized installers, but they are typically companies we acquired in the past years. Belcom is one of the biggest high-end light switch manufacturers in the world. If you go to the Ritz-Carlton in Dubai or you go to any other company, you will see our light switches. They are built out of concrete. They can be built out of pure gold. If you go to Turkmenistan, they can be built out of snakeskin. If you go to Russia, I mean, we do it all. So there's no limit to that. And then there are some other equipment manufacturers who are very specialized on certain home equipment. This is our CEO, my boss, Daniel Hager. He is son of the founder. His father, together with his uncle, founded the company in 1955. And so he is the CEO of the company. He's 43 years old. And he started this journey by saying that today we are a €2 billion company. If we continue our way of acquiring small and medium-sized companies, it will take us decades to become a more larger worldwide corporation. So how can we get quickly to 3 billion and 20,000 employees? That's our project 2020 for us. So in this willingness of the CEO to say, how can we get out of this historical way of growing at Hager Group, was born the initiative of becoming a service operator. And that's when I joined the company 3 years ago. The basic statement was to say that anything that can be connected to the internet will become an IP address on the internet, and that's what happened already in the wearable industry. It happened in the car industry, and we are convinced it will take time. It will take a lot of time, but it will become next a reality in the connected home. As I already mentioned, for us at Hager Group, if we looked at our product portfolio and at all the use cases we already see through the electrician's eyes, we see that security equipment, energy efficiency, together with energy suppliers, all these industries are asking us for data. They're asking us, how do you want me to keep this electrical grid stable if I don't know what your consumers are doing? Before, they had a very stable consumption of energy. Now they're buying electrical cars like a Tesla. They consume 22 kilowatt. That's more than triple the consumption of a normal household. They're using alternative energy production, solar panels and others. For Germany, who is trying to get out of nuclear energy, they have more and more sustainable energy sources which are not as stable. More and more households are being equipped with batteries and stuff. I mean, you see all this coming. So for energy providers, having good data on customers in real time becomes a real issue, and it will influence prices for the end consumer as well. Something very popular in Germany, it's called AAL. I don't know if you have never heard of this, but you all have parents that are at a certain age. So it's called assisted ambient living. And it started with those red buttons that you gave to your elderly grandparents or so 10 years ago. And the theory was that if they fall down, then they should push this button and then there will be some teleassistance. Well, this never worked. It's much too stigmatic for the people. They think that this is just 2 years before they die that they get this red button. So in the smart home of tomorrow, what we think is that there will be more and more sensors that will be hidden in a smoke detector, hidden in a light switch, hidden wherever you want. But they will detect what you're doing in your home. And when you fall down, that there will be a service operator who will call you, call your son, call your daughter, who call your neighbor. And you're already seeing all this very sensitive data that we're talking about. We're talking about, before we talked about burglar alarm, now we talk about elderly people, we talk about energy efficiency. In a certain sense, if you are responsible for electrical infrastructure, you become responsible for data infrastructure inside the connected home of tomorrow, and you will handle millions of sensible data. Of course, for us as a revenue stream, there's lots of opportunity because we say we can use this data and build services on top. That's my job. But at the same time, we have to take very seriously all the data we will be dealing with, and do the consumers trust us? Do they trust us more than other brands? It will become a brand issue. We believe that they will trust us more than Google, but that's not too difficult. So of course, electrical mobility is also a data flow. It's also a business model for services. And I talked about assisted ambient living already. So out of these opportunities that we see for the future, we said, how can we become and build a progressive range of services under one brand, which is a big issue for Hager. I will get back to that. With one customer contact to consolidate all the customer contacts and all the data that is behind, of course, and pursue, which is really new for Hager, really have an ongoing relationship with our customers to develop value through upselling models. So I was for a long time in the telecom industry, so for us it's quite normal to know our customers, to bill our customers on a regular basis, to tell them when they are going beyond their bundle and selling them, upgrading them, etc. But for an industrial company who sells electrical equipment, again, they didn't see the end consumer. They only saw the electrician, and they had no way of contacting any customers and selling them additional stuff. This will change in the future. So one of the first steps, and I think any industrial company, no matter what they build and what they sell, it's a major step to say, how can we build on top of our master brands, which might be very diverse. We have much more than those 7 that you see here. Those are the major ones, no? But we have acquired more than 100 companies with 100 brands. So inside all those master brands, there are people who have built value proposition. We have more than 150 smartphone applications who have been built for products that are already connected. And we said this has to be a little bit more efficient in the future if we want to comply with regulation like the ones we just saw. This will be impossible to handle if we have 150 brands with 150 applications and websites, etc., etc. So we need to build this one service operator under a single brand with single conditions of use, etc., and with ideally with a single smartphone application and a single website. So that was the ambition, and you can imagine that this is a major transformation subject. We said that for the past 60 years, Hager kind of followed through the footsteps of the electricians, the customer, the end user, as we call them. And they said we have either young couples who build or renovate their first apartment, maybe they are not owner. Then when they get children, we call them the family nesters, and that's when they start to build a nest for their children. Then children's move out, go study elsewhere, and we call that the second wind. That's when we transform the children's room into a private office, and so each one of those key moments for an electricity equipment provider is a good moment, because there will be cables and there will be new walls and good stuff. Huh? But again, we didn't know the customer. Huh? So we only knew that those moments would be important, just like the ones when you become really an older person and you need some assistance, and maybe you need some more light switches, easier equipment, maybe some light on the floor so that you don't fall down, etc. So we said, this is all good. We should keep doing this. Huh? This works perfectly for us. However, there's some type of equipment that will not follow these key moment, big renovation projects, big acquisition projects, etc. Those are the more contextual moments that Hager Group was totally missing. And that's when your neighbor's house burns down, or if somebody buys an electrical car, whatever. Those moments, we didn't know that because we didn't have a relationship with the end user. And for those type of equipment, we said it will be important to create a service operator, to have an ongoing relationship with the end user. And that will definitely mean that we will have to distribute via new channels, which was a revolution. That was the second revolution. First was the brand. Then we said we're going to go to the end consumer, which is not possible in every industry. I guess in pharmaceutical industry, it's not so easy to distribute pharmaceutical products to the end user. But in our case, it is possible, but it's a major step. It will offend your channel partners like the wholesalers. It will scare your direct customers, which are the electricians, who say, now you are in competition with me. And we said, listen, today, alone in Germany, there are 30,000 electricians structurally missing in the industry. So we are not stealing any business from you, because if there's a person who hears that there's a fire in the neighborhood and that they don't have smoke detectors, they will not call an electrician to get that. They will just go onto the internet. And if they don't buy it on a Hager service or Hager Group site, then they will buy it somewhere else, but they will not call an electrician. It's too hard. If you live in a city like Berlin or Frankfurt, it takes you months to get an electrician. And he will not come for a small little thing. He will come if you say, I want to renovate my whole house, and there's a $20,000, let's say, construction site, but otherwise he won't come. And it's the same in France. So we said we need this more end consumer oriented direct service operator who will seize the opportunities that are lying in between all those key moments. So what was our business approach? We said first, and it's very much linked to the central brand, first you need to build those central building bricks, those enablers that again need to be leveraged on the whole company level. You need to build one application, one website, and one customer account that will be linked to the ongoing relationship with our end users. And that was, again, a big revolution, because, as I said before, we had already hundreds of initiatives where applications had been built, customer accounts had been created, and of course every brand in the company had an ambition to create my whatever brand account. And we had to say, no, there's one Hager Group. Of course, there are many master brands beyond, but we need to build this one account. Of course, we need to have one connectivity provider. If we say tomorrow every object will be connected, there needs to be a centralization of those connectivity accounts. They were going all over the place. Everybody in each country bought SIM cards, bought Sigfox modules, you name it. I mean, every protocol in the world, we have used it inside Hager Group, and each country had so much autonomy that they chose their own protocols. We said we need to build a common system where we can handle this connectivity, and it's a key part for connected products and for a service operator to have then one end user support. We said there is an organization that takes the phone calls from the electricians. There is a commercial organization that takes the calls from our wholesalers, but for the end users, it's a totally different game. You don't organize this in a very localized way. You have one call center per country that need to have all the information on the customer account. They need to know when they ordered something from us. They need to know when they have been billed, and we needed to get a billing system. So it's not to make any advertising, but we work very well with Janrain, but we work very well with another American company. It's called Zuora. So we are using a Zuora billing system that has also been a brand new thing for Hager Group. We only did B2B billing through legacy SAP systems, like many of you maybe, but here we needed a much more flexible billing system to have this customer relationship, and that's an important part, and to be able to bill subscription, because that was one of our main tasks, to build a subscription-based business model. So that was the second step. The second step was to say, now that we have built this, now that we have established a single brand and a single service factory, we need to introduce to our end users a new business model, which would no longer be a owning model, but a rental model. And again, we needed this billing system to do this. We needed a customer account management system like Janrain. And we introduced our first offers that were based on a monthly subscription. So for Hager Group, this is a new customer segment. That was important to state that we are not handling the existing customers. We are not stealing any customers from our distribution partners. These are other type of customers. It's another generation. We talked about music at lunch. A customer who buys a vinyl music or CD is not the same who takes a Spotify account. And if it's the same customer, which might happen, then they do it for different reasons, and they listen to the music at different moments. So it's something that's added on. It's not something that's substituting. So for Hager, it was a new segment, a new channel of distribution, and a new business model. And we use, as we are a German company, they like a lot the car image. So we give them the car image, and we say, look, even in your favorite industry, the car industry, they did the same thing. Car to go, drive now. In Paris, we have Autolib, all those models where you don't own a car anymore, and our children, they don't own the car anymore. They don't think about this. They just want to use it from time to time. So we built already several offers around connected objects. We started with a minimum viable product in 2016, only 9 months after building the whole thing. Again, we chose Janrain in the very early stages. We chose our billing system in a very early stage, built a CRM system also around this, and launched a smoke detector that was connected through a Sigfox protocol, and that was based on a €3 monthly subscription model. And of course, we used a centralized connectivity platform and a centralized Hager service application. We did the same thing in a more, let's say, innovative field about a year later. We bought a company that builds air quality sensors. You showed the pigeon from London. It's a major phenomenon in Europe. People are becoming very sensitive to air quality, indoor and outdoor. And we said at Hager Group, if we want to protect your quality of life inside your home, we need to care about the air quality issue for our commercial buildings as well as for our private homes. So we bought the technology to build this little sensor that detects not only CO2 and humidity and stuff, but also formaldehyde and volatile compounds. So we put this in retirement homes, in kindergartens, but also in private homes. And we built a partnership with a Swedish company called Camfil. They build air filters. And so we offer a total solution that is connected and that allows you also to follow on your smartphone or on a website the evolution of the air quality in your home or in your office or whatever. And next year, and that will be the first really mass product, starting March, we will launch our first intrusion alarm, burglar intrusion alarm system for €30 a month in France. That will also be based on a subscription model. So that was a little revolution for an industrial company to go direct to consumer and offer a subscription model. But we also said we need to work on the other part. What is happening with all the other products that are still distributed through existing channels? I think it's important to say that if you want to assist in the transformation of your company. We are not just this little startup that will work at the side of the company and do their thing and might destroy your channel partner relationships and stuff. No, we said we do a new model on the side for new segments, but we also work on all the existing services, on the existing products under the existing brands that are distributed through the existing channels, and we will add services. So a little bit like when you buy a car, you can either pay your navigation system 3,000 euros and everything is included for 5 years, or you can say, no, I would rather pay 20 euros a month and have something that might disappear after a year if I don't use it. So again, we said even in the car business you have the same thing. You have existing cars that will be equipped with new systems where you can choose your applications, and we at Hager Services, we will enrich your products and increase the value proposition that you make through your customers. Either you include the price of the service into your product, or if you want, you can also charge it on top. Very classical models, I think, today. So again, in this case, we chose the key product of the company. We sell 500,000 of those distribution boards in Germany and France alone every year. And we built this IoT object, which you clips on each row of your electricity board. It's about a 70 euro equipment that you can clip on yourself, or the electrician does it at the moment where he installs your distribution board. It is retro-compatible to about 2 million distribution boards in France. And we said that now we can follow your energy consumption. We can alert you through a push if on your application, if there is a switch, a security switch who goes off. And we can maybe even give you some advice on how to maybe change your fridge, maybe change some of your heating boilers or whatever, if we see that you have very unusual energy consumption. So you have energy efficiency advice that is also built into this service. So that's an example of an offer where we enriched an existing product. So now that you see all these components of, let's say, a transformation inside an industrial company triggered by services, you can just imagine what the identity management meant to us. We were building our service factories on 3 cloud-based platforms. The IoT platform, which was one component, the service platform, which I mentioned, which is essentially billing and CRM systems, a little bit of B2C logistics as well. And a key component, of course, the digital platform, which we based on the Janrain solution. Just a couple of weeks ago, the CEO of Hager Group decided that the digital team of the service division, which I'm heading, will become, starting January of 2018, the digital factory for the whole company. So for us, that's a real great evolution, because that means that our ambition to focus on lesser but higher quality applications, our envy to focalize on one single identity management system, all this will be put in place now at a much larger scale. So our digital platform from Hager Services will be de facto the Hager Group digital factory. So the issues which we already mentioned in our presentation before were, of course, privacy and regulations, because we are going in a whole new field of end user. So of course, it's an unknown territory for Hager Group. They are trying to understand what all the risks and opportunities are. But of course, as a German company, they're extremely sensible to privacy issues. They say, you cannot do this. I've read an article. There's an article in a German newspaper every day. We said, this is exactly the reason why we should not build this brick by ourselves. Regulation changes from one day to the other. Let's do this with a trusted partner who does this in many countries, so we don't need to reinvent it each time we go to a new market, etc., etc. So for us, as a German-based company, very important. Customer acquisition, I talked about it. We are going, of course, through the funnel that Jim Cascade presented. We will acquire our direct subscription customers through Google AdWords and those classical ways of collecting cookies, knowing the customer better and better, engaging him more and more. And for that you need a cloud-based performing identity management system. And if we succeed our journey, we will have to handle the user knowledge of all this data, which will be also a new function that doesn't exist for now at Hager Group. There's no single data manager inside our industrial company. It's something that we will have to create. So real-time consistency of our customer experience in all channels will be the issue at the end. So that's my last slide to tell you that we did all this journey together with Janrain and had a great experience so far. We are only weeks away from launching major products and major services, and we think that this will be a big payback for Janrain, who accompanied us during all this time. It's a building time. It's an entrepreneurial project, and now we are happy that this will scale up at a much larger, let's say, scope than we had before.